Hi everyone, this video is going to be a little bit different. I have been talking about it in my past two videos. If you haven't seen them, check that out. But yes, I will be doing my very first story time because we gonna get personal. This story time will be about how I got into reading. So I'm not going to be reading, but I will be talking about mental health because it's a part of my story. And if that kind of conversation makes you uncomfortable or makes you feel awkward, then I'm sorry, this is not the video for you. I will video on my page that will not make you uncomfortable. But for those of you who are still here and still watching, let's get to it. As a young child in elementary school, I struggled with spelling and reading comprehension. I was not reading at my level, despite the fact that otherwise my teachers thought that I was very bright. I loved to be in the library. The librarian loved me because I loved to help organize the books. I loved the Scholastic Book Fair. It got me excited. I loved the smell of books. I loved my mother reading to me. But I hated reading and I refused to do it on my own. And a part of the reason why was because I am dyslexic. I did not know this at the time, but I couldn't read words that my friends understood so effortlessly. And I couldn't spell them either, which is something I still struggle with. Don't ask me to spell tongue off the top of my head because I can't tell you. And it is a very frustrating thing to go through, even in this day and age. I mean, I'm incredibly grateful for spell check and autocorrect and all of those things, but sometimes even those technologies have no idea what I'm trying to say. And it could be frustrating when I have to dumb down my own language or find another way to say what I'm trying to say because I just can't spell what I really want to say. So, yes. That is why I hated reading. But in 2001, I believe it was, when the very first Harry Potter movie came out, my mother took me to see it because I was young. I wanted to be an actress. I have a lot of passion for the stage and pretending and just escaping reality in that kind of way. And I went to see it. I fell in love because they were around my age. I felt like, oh look, this is something that's attainable for me to do and I'm gonna make my dreams come true and all these other kinds of things. But I found out there were books. Now at the time, so don't at me, at the time I didn't think the books and movies were gonna be that vastly different in it. I just read the second one. I didn't even start with the first one because I was like, oh, I saw the movie. It's the same thing. I didn't know, okay? Don't judge me. I was a child. I was a youth, okay? But that didn't actually lead to my undying, encompassing passion of reading. It just made me love the Harry Potter series and anything that could come close to it, which was nothing. Nothing could come close to it. So I didn't really branch out. I didn't really read much. I was still kind of in the same exact place, reading the same exact things. Now, when I went to 6th grade, I had a English teacher named Miss Gainey. Shout out to you if you're watching this. Thank you so much for everything you've done for me in my life. Who was like, you're not stupid, you're just struggling and that's okay. And with the help of her and my mother and a tutor, which she got from Sylvan Learning Center, I don't even know if that's a thing anymore, but shout out to them too because they helped your girl learn how to read. I became a new person. She gave me an excerpt from The Lovely Bones, which was a big girl book when you're 10. And I sat and I read it with a dictionary, which is how my mother taught me to read it. She's like, if you can't say a word, look it up, figure out what it means. And that's kind of, it opened the door a little more, but not all the way. Your girl still wasn't ready to commit to books. When I was 13 years old, Me and my family were homeless. We went through the shelter system. It was long, it was arduous, it was painful. And during this time, I was diagnosed with clinical depression. I didn't know how to deal with it. I wanted to end my life. I thought nothing was worth it. But with my mother's persistence, therapy, my personal relationship with spirituality, and, God, sorry if that makes you uncomfortable, but yes, I believes and I loves Jehovah. But yes, so through these things and the existence of my little brother, who I love with all my heart and I'm very close to, my life was saved. And in the shelter we were living in, there was a library downstairs, and the librarian asked me to help her out. And I would help her organize the books, and I would ask her about books, and we would talk about books. And when they would get rid of old books, she gave me bags and bags full of Harlequin romance. So suddenly I went from being a girl who thought fantasy was the only way to go, the only books that were good, the only books that were ever going to get my attention, to thinking romance was incredible. Now, you can judge me all you want, but there is something extremely comforting about a romantic book. It is predictable, especially Harlequin romance. You can map it out perfectly, and when your life is in a place of instability, predictability is what you want in your stories. So I read so many of them, none of them which are on my Goodreads, because I can't remember the titles of them, and I can look them up till I'm blue in the face. They're almost indistinguishable from each other. They're like the same thing. It is crazy how similar all these books are because of like tropes and whatnot. To summer camp, where I met a camp counselor, Abby, who I already shouted out personally through Facebook a while ago, thanking her so much for getting me into writing. I never thought that I could write because, once again, I struggled with spelling, let alone poetry, which is what she was teaching us. But suddenly, that's all I was doing, which was a great way for me to express myself and my emotions and my confusion and all of my feelings from everything that had been happening through my childhood up until that time in my life. A good writer, especially when I got into stories, which is a different story. I will talk about my relationship with writing more in a different story time, where I talk about how reading created a friendship for me, a lifelong friendship, a beautiful friendship, the best friendship. But anyway, so when I got into writing stories, I realized you cannot be a writer, an incredible reader. If you're not a reader, your writing is not going to be very good. I'm sorry. You need to know what people want. You need to know your audience. You need to know what you enjoy, because at the end of the day, what you're writing is going to be read primarily by you, and you're going to have to live with that work forever because it has your name on it. So you have to find peace with all of that. In Borders, she found a book called Gossip Girls in the bargain bin. What a shame. Also, I miss Borders. Borders was incredible. They went bankrupt. My heart broke. Just everything about them. Like the store. Like they had chairs for people. Like I loved it. But anyway, and the prices. So that book made me realize that's what got me into chick lit. And I was like, oh my gosh, look at all this drama. And Serena is like so cool. And Blair is so shady. And what about Nate? Like, oh my God. Like, I was in it. Okay. And no one could tell me differently. But I didn't think I was going to be in it, because I'm like, this ain't Harry Potter. And that, or a Harlequin romance. And that kind of broadened my world a little more. And then my mother found Twilight in that same bargain bin. Don't at me, okay? Y'all all read Twilight. and you can hate it all you want now. That's fine. You're an adult. Your taste changed. But when you was 13 and reading that book, you freaking loved it. All right? You lived for it. You were either Team Edward or Team Jacob. Those books didn't sell out the way they did, and they didn't have midnight parties because everyone thought they were terrible. It's a lie, okay? Once upon a time, we were their demographic and we ate it up. So it's fine. Let it go. Make peace with yourself. Anyway, which I was hesitant to read because I was terrified of vampires. But can you really be terrified of Edward or anyone in his family, the vegetarian vampires? No, you cannot, which is fine. But again, it broadened my horizon, and suddenly I was reading paranormal books. And from there, it was kind of, wait, I can read anything I want to. I don't have to just read a book with a werewolf, a book with a vampire, a book with a wizard, or a book with a girl who's very troubled because she's 16 and yet somehow she's dumb drunk and having a party and her parents don't exist. What is going on here? None of those things had to be what I had to tie myself down to and live with and exist with. I started reading so much more at the age of 18. I mean, I had been reading a lot before then. I'd been going to the library. Again, like I said, reading got me a friendship. And with a friend that reads, you read more because you have someone to talk to about it. And we started a book club in school, and we would spend way too many hours in our school library, and we would take trips to the library together over the summer just to have somewhere to walk to, and like take way too many books out and owe way too much money to the library because we had a problem. This was the life that I was living. But when I got diagnosed correctly at the age of 23 with bipolar disorder, I also have anxiety and PTSD. I realized books were such a special place for me and such an incredible escape for me, because a lot of the time, though people may read to just escape their everyday life, their everyday reality, their financial troubles, their marital or relationship troubles, issues with their parents, stress at work, whatever the case may be, I kind of read it to escape my own mind. Like, my own mind works against me. It just so happens to be that way. And yes, I take medication for it and I work on it. And there are things that I do for myself, and exercising and working on my personal relationship with God, and praying and meditating and doing everything I need to do to remain sane. Nothing is like reading, where I can just be someone else in another universe with whatever fantasies I want to be living, which could be me being a superhero in Renegades, or me being a cyborg in Cinder, or me being Dave's girlfriend in anything he's ever been written in, because Lord, I love him. Anyway, or me just being a regular girl going through struggles that I go through now, but seeing them through a different light, or me being a boy and seeing the way they see things, and remembering that just because you're a guy doesn't mean you don't feel or cry or hurt or whatever the case may be. And its constant portrayal of toxic masculinity, Lord. So sometimes you just need those reminders to see the world differently. And I do find that reading makes me more compassionate and kinder and willing to see things from other people's point of views. and really just sitting down and being like, okay, why did this person do this, and why did this person do that, and why could this be happening, and am I just making something up about this? Or, because let me tell you, we all get annoyed when characters jump to unnecessary conclusions without communicating. Guess what, honey? We do it too. And that's a part of the reason why reading for me is so important, because it reminds me, oh wait, in order to know what's really going on, I have to talk to the person that's also involved in this incident. Crazy, I know. But yes, so reading essentially saved my life through the ups and downs of my existence, through whatever was going on around me. Reading created a safe haven, and so did the library, which is why I will always tell people to support your local library, whether it's through a donation of books, a donation of money, taking your children there. Just make the library foundation, because it is so important to so many people. Libraries saved my life, my mother's life. And if it didn't save her life, I wouldn't exist. My brother wouldn't exist. I saved my best friend's life. Like, libraries, they change people, and librarians that work in them, they're like, it's just, everything about a library is great. And also, if you're a kid in school who happens to be watching this and you think reading sucks and oh, it's so gross, please, 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 please go to a library, please, because you can find something that's there for you, that you enjoy. And parents, encourage your kids to read and show them early on that there are books that they can love. That way, when they get into school and they have to read stuff that they don't really think are the best, that's okay, because I've also read Great Expectations and I've also hated it. It's fine. I survived because I had my own personal reading on the side that made everything bearable. So that's just how I that's just kind of how I want to end this. If you are suffering with any kind of mental health issues and you are suicidal, please seek help however you can. I don't know the sources available to you, but please make sure you talk to someone, go to therapy, read, write, draw, play, laugh, anything healthy that's going to help you release those emotions. Do it. And I know it's easier said than done, trust me, but I don't want to end this video without letting people know that it can be hard, it can be debilitating. When I'm depressed, sometimes I don't even want to pick up a book. That's why I got into audiobooks. Audiobooks saved me in a completely different way and helped me to keep pushing forward. So find that thing for you, find your support system. And again, books have given me friendships. I have 2 incredible best friends that I made just from books. So it really is a blessing. But anyway, support your local library, read what makes you happy, and I will see you in the next one.